SpaceX is preparing for what could be the largest initial public offering in stock market history, targeting a valuation above $2 trillion and a debut expected in June 2025. The offering would instantly place the company among the 10 largest publicly traded firms in the world. But before the first share trades, a set of institutional investors, pension funds, and advocacy groups are raising formal objections, some pushing for greater regulatory scrutiny, others calling for an outright boycott. This video examines who those actors are, what their specific concerns are, and what the outcomes of this standoff could mean for ordinary retirement savers and for the broader question of how large private companies transition into public markets. Start with the structure of what SpaceX actually is at this moment. The company, founded by Elon Musk as a rocket manufacturer, has expanded over time into a conglomerate that also includes Starlink, the satellite internet network, and xAI, an artificial intelligence development company. Musk serves as both CEO and self-described chief engineer. During testimony in a separate legal proceeding last week, a trial involving OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, Musk described SpaceX's purpose as ensuring the long-term survival of human life and consciousness through multiplanetary settlement. That mission framing is part of the public identity of the company. The financial question the IPO raises is whether the underlying business can generate returns that justify a $2 trillion valuation, and whether the disclosures required by securities law will give investors enough information to make that assessment accurately. The most formally significant objection has come from Randi Weingarten, president of the American Federation of Teachers, a union representing 1.8 million members across education, healthcare, and government sectors. Weingarten wrote directly to Securities and Exchange Commission Chair Paul Atkins, urging his agency to apply rigorous scrutiny to SpaceX's IPO filings. Her letter cited three specific concerns: that SpaceX's business plans may rely on technologies that are not yet proven or commercially viable, that questions have been raised about the thoroughness of the company's accounting practices, and that the composition of its board of directors may not meet the independence standards expected of a publicly traded company. She asked the SEC to demand comprehensive disclosures, independent oversight mechanisms, and safeguards to protect investors who end up holding SpaceX shares through pension and retirement funds without actively choosing to do so. That last point matters because of a structural feature of modern index investing. Under stock exchange rules that have been updated in recent years, companies that reach a certain market capitalization threshold are automatically added to major indices. Pension funds that track those indices then hold the stock within days of the IPO, not months, and not as the result of a deliberate investment decision. Mark Pinsley, the controller of Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, whose retirement board previously paused new investments in Tesla, flagged exactly this mechanism. His concern is that SpaceX shares will flow into county pension portfolios through index funds regardless of any individual assessment of the company's fundamentals. He noted that Tesla continued to hold its value through index inclusion even as the company reported declining revenues during a period of significant controversy. That Tesla precedent is the direct backdrop for what is happening now. Beginning in early 2024, advocacy groups, including Tesla Takedown and Divest from Tesla, ran coordinated campaigns urging large institutional investors and state and local pension managers to review and reduce their Tesla holdings. Tesla shares fell approximately 40% during the period of peak pressure, and the company reported weak sales figures in the first half of 2024. Musk acknowledged the campaigns had a significant impact and eventually stepped back from his role leading the Department of Government Efficiency, a federal advisory operation he had been running that resulted in significant reductions to government employment, contracts, and grants. Since then, Tesla shares have recovered substantially as Musk shifted the company's public focus toward humanoid robotics development. Activists view the Tesla episode as evidence that coordinated institutional pressure can move markets and corporate behavior, and they are applying the same framework to SpaceX. Academic Pension, a Danish retirement fund covering teachers and public sector workers, has stated that SpaceX's rumored valuation target is very high and would, on its own, make the fund cautious about participating in the offering. Dan Wiesa, the fund's head of global equities, has indicated plans to examine SpaceX's financial disclosures and shareholder structure as the IPO approaches. Academic Pension divested from Tesla in 2024 over concerns about board independence and Musk's political activities. ABP, a Dutch pension fund that sold a Tesla stake approaching $600 million in 2024, has declined to comment on SpaceX. The fund maintains policies barring investment in companies with serious environmental or corporate integrity controversies. BlackRock, which excludes Tesla from certain ESG-aligned exchange-traded funds, also declined to comment on whether SpaceX would receive similar treatment. Now consider two scenarios. In the first, the SEC review proceeds without requiring material changes to SpaceX's disclosures. Institutional concerns remain at the level of caution rather than organized rejection, and the IPO closes in June at or near its target valuation. SpaceX would enter public markets as one of the most valuable companies in the world, with its shares distributed widely through index funds into pension portfolios across the United States and internationally. Whether the company's revenues and growth trajectory can sustain a $2 trillion valuation would then become a question settled over years of quarterly reporting rather than at the IPO gate. In the second scenario, the SEC directs SpaceX to provide substantially more detailed disclosures, particularly around accounting practices, technology timelines, and board governance, and the process delays or restructures the offering. Institutional investors who have been waiting on the sidelines for that information might use the additional detail to reduce their intended exposure. Environmental protests at investor meetings in Tennessee and Texas, which have already occurred, could attract broader media attention and increase the reputational cost of participation for funds with ESG mandates. In this scenario, the IPO still proceeds. There is no realistic path by which advocacy campaigns block it entirely, but the pricing and take-up could be affected at the margin. What to watch in the weeks ahead is specific. The SEC's response to Weingarten's letter, or the absence of one, will signal how seriously the Commission intends to scrutinize the filings. SpaceX's prospectus, when it is formally filed, will reveal the accounting and revenue details that critics have said are currently opaque. And the decisions made by large index fund managers, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, about whether to apply any ESG screens to SpaceX will determine how widely the shares are held by retirement savers who never actively chose to own them. Each of those data points will tell you whether this IPO proceeds on its own terms or whether the institutional friction accumulating around it changes anything at all.